think about it, you know, lots of little boutique shops, plenty of available space for rent. And so they're trying to get a downtown fashion district. Would you come downtown to shop?
Well, I work downtown, so maybe on a lunch break it would be convenient.
Right, you could just walk a couple of blocks and see something, right?
Right.
It'd be great fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of fashion, we just love this. Have you seen the latest? It is from the Onion, but they have the new the new Supreme Court justices debuted their spring line of robes. And you, as a judge, I mean, would you like to wear one of these?
Absolutely
right?
not.
I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I didn't know that she was that much into accessorizing.
She likes to wear the fashion accessories with
right,
her robe.
Right. I think that would be great for district court judges, right? The spaghetti straps would be fun.
I'm not sure about that, Dan.
One thing we are sure about, though, is that the Isotopes Park is awesome.
It's beautiful.
And over the weekend, we found out that there's a magazine, it's a trade publication. There's a trade publication for everything these days, right?
There is.
There's one for baseball parks. So if you work at a baseball park, there's a trade publication for it. It's called Baseball America. And they named the Isotopes field the 9th best field in the nation to go watch a game. Out of 60. Out of 60. I think it's first, too. I absolutely think it's first. According to these guys, out of the 60, we have everything to make us the 9th best, which is really nice.
It's a beautiful place.
It's great,
yeah.
right? And then this is wonderful for me, too, because I love fly fishing. And I can't wait to get out to the Baez Caldera. And it's now officially open to the public for the first time. And this is really, really great. And what I really love about this, it's $10 if you want to walk in on foot. It's $10 if you want to bicycle in. It's $10 if you want to ride your horse.
Oh, okay. All forms of transportation.
Right. So I don't know how you get a horse to the Caldera.
I don't either.
But I guess with a trailer. But if I could do it, I would figure out a way to do it. And then we got gas prices this morning up 22 cents. This is something I was looking forward to having doing maybe a fun summer road trip. But this, I don't know. Might be just a little bit more expensive. You know, when gas was like $1.99, I was thinking, road trip.
Right, everyone wanted to drive somewhere.
Right, and now I'm thinking, well, I don't know. And then we got some congratulations this morning to the kids at El Dorado High School. The Class 6A men's baseball tournament was over the week.
Okay.
And El Dorado won.
It's a great picture.
Isn't that wonderful? That's from the Albuquerque Journal. It's a great photo. And those guys just look so happy. And we'll see how many of them get drafted and go on from there, right? But we'll be back in a couple of seconds with a whole bunch more stuff. We're going to be talking about the Lollapalooza and some free legal help and everything. And maybe we'll see if we can figure out a way to get some of the new Supreme Court justice robes in here. I'd wear one on the Brew.
Look better on you than me.
If I could accessorize it, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I would be in. We'll be back in a couple of seconds on the Morning Brew with Friends. There we go.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up?
Oh, we finally bought a place.
Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on...
Is it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Hey, Mom. I got the job.
You've got the job. Welcome aboard.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Donate to Goodwill. Help provide job training in your community.
Hi, I'm Gary Opedal, and I'm Economic Development Director for the City of Albuquerque, and you're watching UABQ.
fun day, though. Right? Today, you hang out. It's great fun, right? It's not that early. Once you reset your body clock, you can be here any day on the morning brew.
Feels typical.
Right.
Right.
6 a.m. can't come fast enough when you're on the morning brew. Which is something I never thought I would say before we started doing
I'll
this
remind
together,
you
right?
later.
But we're here with Judge Bacon this morning, the first judge we've ever had on the show, which is just awesome, that we know of.
Right.
Anyway.
Thanks for having me.
This is great fun. And you guys it's called the Lollapalooza. And tell us a little about what this is, first of all.
So it's a free legal fair for low-income residents in Albuquerque or Bernalillo County. We will have approximately 70 lawyers there volunteering their time.
It's a huge amount of lawyers.
From 3 to 6 p.m. on this coming Thursday at the Wells Park Community Center here just a couple blocks away.
That's very cool. We have some photos of some of the lawyers helping some people right here, which looks great. And this is the thing that anybody who needs free legal help can just show up.
Correct.
It is specifically targeted at low-income people, but you don't have to be, right?
We don't turn anyone away.
Right. Because this is something that that a lot of people just need advice.
Basic advice, directions, next steps, things like that.
30-minute sessions.
Correct.
Right? And this is the kind of thing, what are the most popular things that people come in to get advice on?
The biggest demand is always family law, so divorce, child custody, things like that. The second largest area is debt, bankruptcy, foreclosure, things of that nature.
Is that something that's kind of moved up in the ranking? I know that before the recession, that didn't seem to be that big a deal.
Right. It was a pretty quiet area, but through the course of the recession, that has just grown tremendously, and folks really need help figuring out how to interact with a bank or a lender so that they don't lose their home or end up with a judgment against them.
Right, or worst case scenario, having to go and file bankruptcy.
Right.
Yes, yeah. As the economy, it really hasn't improved so much in Albuquerque. I mean, are you finding more and more need? It is slow. Are you finding more and more need for these services?
The need is rather uniform. The recession created a huge need, and it really hasn't tapered off yet.
Is that something? I mean, I know that this is not an uncommon thing for lawyers to do, give their time like this all over the nation, right?
Right.
Is that something that you're seeing in basically cities all over?
Yes.
Really?
Any city, and actually rural communities as well, have tremendous need for free legal help. There aren't many lawyers that live and work in small communities.
Right.
So there's a demand on the attorneys in Albuquerque and Santa Fe to give their services in the rural areas.
Some of the extra help.
Right.
Yeah. So that means you guys are expecting people from all over the state then to come.
Typically, most of our customers are from the Albuquerque area, but folks will drive quite a distance to receive some legal advice.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can certainly imagine. So, when we were talking about the most common ones, and it's basically domestic help and bankruptcy and debt help. What else can people come and get advice on?
Let's see, child support, real estate, landlord-tenant questions are
I bet that's a common
frequently asked about. Personal injury. Anything that isn't of a criminal nature. If somebody comes in with a criminal problem or question, we will typically refer them to the public defender's office.
So someone says, I got a warrant, they just send them right down the street?
Right, exactly.
So you practice civil law.
Yes.
And so how long have you been an attorney? How'd you get into the business?
I've been an attorney almost 20 years. I've been a judge for 5 years. And it was one of those areas that fit my background and my interest, helping people, problem solving, things of that nature.
Right. Were you in the private attorney world? And
I was.
Doing like the 40 billable hours a week and all of that? How much of a pain is that?
You get used to it.
Yeah. Just like waking up at 6 in the morning and being here,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. You adjust, your time to fit the needs of your clients.
Right. What I've always been fascinated by is when lawyers do become judges. Well, I'm sure when you are presenting a case to a judge, you're like, how can the judge not see this? These things are so easy. These legal questions are just plain, and then you lose. And then how do you, as a judge now, see that? And you see these lawyers come in and they know they really feel like they're in the right. How do you, being an attorney who presented in front of judges first and becoming a judge, how do you look at attorneys in front of you now?
Attorneys are meant to be advocates, so they get very attached to their client's position and the facts that support their client.
Right.
And as a judge, you have to take a step back and really listen to the facts on both sides.
Right.
And so you take off that advocate's hat and become the neutral person
Right.
in
Open
the
the
room.
law books and
Right.
what does it say?
And listen to everybody fully before you apply the law to those facts so that you have the whole picture rather than just the picture on behalf of one party or another.
How much harder is that than you thought it was going to be? Because in my mind, I'm the guy that you talk to somebody and I'm totally swayed by their opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I just fall into people and I don't know how I would be able to kind of remove myself from the conversation I would have had, even if it was in a courtroom or wherever. You know, how do you remove yourself from that situation and make a ruling?
I think you have to remind yourself to be very open-minded so that even though you may listen to one party and say, oh, that makes sense,
right,
you have to be open-minded enough to listen to the other party and say, okay, well, that makes sense too, and now how does that fit within the law?
Right.
So it's listening, paying attention, and being open to both parties' versions of the facts.
Right. And in that, I mean, are there ever times where you're making a ruling where you know somebody's going to get hurt because of it, and it just pains you inside? Or do you ever have those decisions to make?
We make some tough decisions about where people are going to live, whether their rights are going to be limited in some fashion, or whether a judgment is going to be financially devastating for somebody.
Right.
And those decisions can be very hard.
Right, I'm sure. And how do you deal with that as a judge? I mean, just personally, do you go home and just like have a couple glasses of wine and just say tough day and then go back at it tomorrow, or do you just have to say this is what the law says and I'm here to uphold the law?
You have to walk away knowing you did your best with what was presented to you.
Right.
So a lot of it depends on what the lawyers are presenting.
Oh. Can you coach a lawyer? Can you ever say like, hey dude, like that's totally the wrong argument, I'd be saying this? Like, can you ever do that? Like,
no. The thought crosses every judge's mind.
Right.
But no, our job is they say not to put our fingers on the scales.
Right.
And that would be helping one party over another.
Oh.
So we try and avoid giving, kind of the Sunday morning quarterbacking in the courtroom.
Right, yeah. That's what you're hoping that the lawyers they went to school to learn all that stuff in the first place, right?
Right, and lawyers work very hard to
Absolutely.
present their clients' positions in court every day.
Right on. Well, so the Lollapalooza is this Thursday.
This Thursday.
This Thursday at Wells Park.
Correct.
And anyone can show up. It's targeted though specifically for folks who are low income.
Right.
But anyone can show up, and you can meet with an attorney, somebody in the Albuquerque area, right?
Yes.
And 30-minute sessions, which sounds like a long time. You can get a lot covered, I think.
You can get a lot covered, and I just ask folks to remember to bring any piece of paper they have related to their question. Having all of those materials in front of the attorneys helps them give better advice in that 30-minute window.
Right, that way the attorney knows everything you're dealing with.
Exactly.
Do people show up with like 75 inches worth of paper?
Sometimes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Bring important, but not
bring everything you have that you think is important.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we'll see you Thursday. And we'll be back in a couple of seconds with our friend Greg Frost on the Morning Brew with Friends.